Good afternoon. It's Thursday, the 2nd of March. I'm Yael Shir, and this is IBA News, broadcasting live from Jerusalem. The security situation along Israel's southern border is heating up. A short time ago, shots were fired at an IDF patrol near the North Gaza border fence. No injuries were reported. However, a bullet penetrated the IDF vehicle. Shortly after, the army targeted 2 Hamas positions in Gaza. Late last night, a rocket that was fired from the Gaza Strip exploded in an open area south of Ashkelon. No damage or injuries were reported. As in recent rocket attacks, the code red siren, which warns residents of incoming rockets, was not activated as the rocket was fired towards an open, unpopulated area. It is the second such attack this week and the 5th in the past month. On Monday, a rocket that was fired from Gaza exploded in an open area in the Sha'ar HaNegev Regional Council in southern Israel. The Air Force then retaliated, striking 5 Hamas positions across the Gaza Strip. Security forces last night raided the West Bank home of Saad Mohammed Ali Kasia, who was shot and killed hours earlier after stabbing an Israeli man in his home in southern Hebron Hills. A number of Kasia's family members were detained by troops for questioning. Yesterday afternoon, Shabtai Koshabalski suffered light stab wounds after the terrorist forced his way into the mobile home and attacked him in front of his wife and children. Koshabalski told security forces that he had opened his door after hearing suspicious noises outside and was confronted by the terrorist holding 2 knives. He ran back inside to retrieve his gun, and Kasia followed him inside, then stabbed him. Koshabalski said his dog succeeded in keeping Kasia at bay, allowing him to retrieve his weapon and shoot the terrorist. According to the head of the intelligence branch, Major General Herzi Halevi, Hezbollah and Hamas are not interested in confrontations with Israel. At the same time, Halevi warned that Gaza is on the verge of a humanitarian crisis, which could potentially lead to another round of fighting. Speaking before the Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee on Wednesday, Halevi said that the situation in the Palestinian territories is volatile due to the economic instability. He said Israel could potentially limit prospects of another confrontation with Hamas by adopting measures that will ease the hardships inside the Hamas-run enclave. Addressing the state comptroller's report on Operation Protective Edge, which was released earlier this week, Halevi supported his predecessor, Aviv Kochavi, saying that although the tunnels being built from Gaza are dangerous, they do not pose a threat at this time. He praised the performance of the Army's intelligence branch during the war and stressed the level of coordination between all of Israel's intelligence organizations is strong. Likud MK Yoav Kish and Bezalel Smotrich of the Jewish Home Party plan to introduce a bill next week that calls for the annexation of Ma'aleh Adumim. The Knesset's Ministerial Legislation Committee is slated to discuss the controversial bill on Sunday. The move comes amid renewed campaign efforts by Ma'aleh Adumim's mayor, Benny Kashriel, who is determined to see a city of some 38,000 residents finally become a sovereign part of Israel. Efforts by Jewish Home Party leader and Education Minister Naftali Bennett to move the proposed legislation forward have been postponed a number of times in the past. Last month, prior to his first meeting with U.S. President Trump in Washington, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asked lawmakers to stall the move so that he could coordinate with the U.S. administration. The Ma'aleh Adumim mayor says he hopes the legislation will move forward, as residents in his city should enjoy the same rights as those living in Tel Aviv.
This is a time to pass the law that we're making the Ma'aleh Adumim legal part of Israel. We have most of the government members and most of the Knesset members are pro Ma'aleh Adumim, it's legal part of Israel, and about 80% of the people in Israel, in the poll of Minat Tzemach, they said yes to pass the law of Ma'aleh Adumim, and this is the best time to do it.
Former residents of the demolished Omona outpost began a hunger strike this morning, vowing to continue their protests until Prime Minister fulfills his promise to establish a replacement settlement. Speaking to journalists after the initial strike announcement, community leader Avichai Boaron accused the government of using ongoing discussions with the Trump administration as an excuse for not taking action on their behalf. Many of the evicted from Omona are living temporarily in the settlement of Ofra, where just yesterday 9 houses were demolished by security forces. One of the Omona residents spoke to IBA's Sam Sokol and said the demolitions were traumatic.
It's really bad. The feeling is really bad. Yeah, weeks after, it brings up all the bad feelings and emotions. Right now we see that Prime Minister Netanyahu is flanking Trump from the left. Netanyahu freezes everything. Netanyahu does not want anything to be changed here in our area, and therefore we have to apply a lot of pressure on the government and him personally.
Prime Minister Netanyahu initially promised that he would build a new settlement for your community. Do you believe this is actually going to happen?
We pray for that. We apply all the pressure that we can. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister Netanyahu is now busy flying all around the globe. In the last 24 hours, his team cut us off. No response, no communication. We really hope that before he flies to China, something will change and we will have his promise fulfilled. Right now, we fear that he's trying to cut us off and be as lazy as ever.
In a related development, Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit has officially notified the High Court that he will not represent the state in defending the new settlement regulation law, which retroactively legalizes homes built on Palestinian land in Judea and Samaria. Mandelblit has, from the beginning, expressed a number of reservations concerning the regulation bill, which he deemed unconstitutional. He said the bill violates the law and warned that the International Court of Justice could take Israel to task over the issue. The law, against which several NGOs and pro-Palestinian rights groups are petitioning, allows Israel to compensate the Palestinians whose land has been seized by settlers rather than removing the homes. In a letter to the court, Mandelblit said that due to the exceptional circumstances of the case, he will allow the state to be represented by a private attorney. The Military Appeals Court is reviewing today the request of IDF soldier Elor Azaria, who is seeking to postpone his prison service, which is slated to begin this Sunday. Last week, Azaria was sentenced to 18 months in jail for killing a neutralized terrorist in Hebron. Azaria's lawyer, Yoram Sheftel, yesterday submitted an appeal against the soldier's conviction and sentencing, prompting the 3 other lawyers from the defense team to resign. Together with Azaria's parents, Sheftel held a press conference explaining the decision to appeal the verdict. The defense attorney claimed the conviction was a frame-up based on what he called lies by 2 key witnesses. In an emotional outburst, Azaria's father vowed he would fight till the very end to prove his son's innocence. The military prosecution has yet to announce if he intends to appeal the sentencing. Environmental Protection Minister Ze'ev Elkin denied that plans are underway to transfer a new ammonia tank to the southern city of Ashkelon, replacing the current Haifa plant, which has been ordered to be shut down by April 1st. The Haifa District Court yesterday gave the Haifa Chemicals Company 1 month to empty the Haifa ammonia tank, which poses a major health hazard. The court rejected the company's appeal to reverse the decision and imposed a ban on refilling the tank and bringing shipments of ammonia into the Haifa Bay. The Environmental Protection Ministry stated that the government is continuing to look for alternatives to the Haifa tank in a bid to remove hazardous materials from the environment. An indictment was issued this morning at the Nazareth Magistrates Court against Nadav Sella, who's been accused of murdering his wife, 23-year-old Dor Karasanti, along with their 2 children and their neighbor's son. The 4 were stabbed to death inside their home in the northern city of Migdal in late January. Sella was also charged with the attempted murder of the older son of their neighbor, who survived after pretending to be dead. The court deemed Sella fit to stand trial. The Ben Gurion International Airport in Tel Aviv, ranked as one of the top 5 airports in the Middle East due to its high level of security, had a computer glitch today, which caused dozens of flights to be delayed. The baggage screening system had a malfunction and was unable to keep up with a huge amount of luggage passing through the conveyor belts. Staff worked through the night to try and repair the problem, which was discovered at midnight. Authorities' attempts to speed up the process failed, and as a result, hundreds of suitcases were left behind. Authorities say the luggage will be sent to their destinations later today. Although the problem has been fixed, several flights are still delayed. Amidst the recent upsurge of anti-Semitic attacks in the U.S., New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is coming to Israel this weekend in a visit he describes as one of solidarity with the Jewish people. During his whirlwind trip, Cuomo plans to meet with a number of government officials to advance economic development and discuss the rise in anti-Semitism abroad. In recent days, he has given several speeches to Jewish schools and organizations throughout New York, denouncing the anti-Semitic acts and presenting himself as a fighter against anti-Semitism.
This weekend, I'm going to do an economic development trip to Israel, which is a great economic development partner of ours, to talk about technology and joint ventures that we're working on with new technologies and to talk about security, but I'm also going to bring a message of solidarity. And I want to say to the people of Israel, and I want to say to the Jewish community in New York, you are not alone. And every person in the state of New York with any decency and understanding of what it means to be a New Yorker stands with you at this moment, and we speak with one voice condemning this repugnant behavior, and we stand arm in arm with the Jewish community through this time of hardship.
The group Watch List on Children in Armed Conflict called on UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to add the IDF to a blacklist of human rights violators. The organization cited the deaths of minors in clashes between Palestinians, security forces in Judea and Samaria, as well as the 2014 Gaza conflict as the reasons for adding Israel to the list. The organization also recommended the inclusion of the armed wing of Hamas and the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The report dealt with Israel in considerably more detail than it did Syria, whose ongoing civil war has caused the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. While delivering a statement marking his 10 years in office, former Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has recently stated that the UN has a, quote, disproportionate volume of resolutions, reports, and conferences criticizing Israel. The U.S. has called for the UN Human Rights Council to end its bias towards Israel amidst reports that Trump is considering withdrawing the U.S. from the council. U.S. envoy Aaron Barkley stated, quote, the obsession with Israel is the largest threat to this council's credibility. When it comes to human rights, no country should be free from scrutiny, but neither should any democratic country be regularly subjected to unfair, unbalanced, and unfounded bias. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says it will offer support to Jewish communities across the country in the wake of the recent wave of anti-Semitic attacks that have targeted Jewish community centers, institutions, and cemeteries. John Kelly, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, issued a statement yesterday saying he has instructed his department to, quote, heighten our outreach and support to enhance public safety. The statement went on to say it would support and advise on protective measures in consultation with Jewish communities around the nation. In the past few weeks, Jewish institutions across the country have received more than 100 bomb threats, and 2 Jewish cemeteries have been desecrated. Legendary Israeli photographer David Rubinger has passed away at the age of 92. During his illustrious career, he captured key moments in the history of the Jewish state through his camera lens. One of the most iconic photos is of 3 Israeli paratroopers looking up at the Western Wall during the Six-Day War. The photo symbolizes Israel's victory after troops recaptured Jerusalem, reaching the holy site for the first time. Rubinger was a photojournalist for the Time Life magazine, as well as leading Israeli newspapers. He was one of the founding members of the Foreign Press Association and was awarded the Israel Prize in 1997 for his achievements. He's survived by his daughter and son, 5 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. In local money matters, shares were mixed on the last day of the trading week of the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, while the shekel weakened in foreign currency trading. Here are the numbers. Turning to the forecast, the IBA weather team says tonight there will be rain in the north, spreading to all regions by tomorrow morning, with a slight drop in temperatures becoming unseasonably cold. Here's a look at the highs and lows for the next 24 hours at home and abroad. That's all for this newscast. Join us again on Sunday, same time, same channel. Until then, I'm Yael Shir, wishing you a good evening and Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem.